So welcome to today's interview. Today I'm interviewing Faine, who is also part of our Mindful Living Network. And she is a counseling hypnotherapist, and she's got quite a few different qualifications behind her name. So she has the counseling hypnotherapy qualification, which she got from a UK-based institution. And then she also has a master's in research psychology with Stellenbosch University and a modern dance teacher's qualification. So quite a varied gambit of modalities and techniques that she's able to employ. And she uses these techniques and modality in an individualized client-centered approach. And she works with people of all ages, including the dance and the movement in play in her therapies to support the healing process in overcoming traumas, other emotional challenges, such as stress, depression, and anxiety. So very nice to chat to you, Faine. And yeah, welcome to our interview series. Great to have you on board.
Thanks, Cath. It's good to be here and to have this opportunity.
Cool. So the first question I wanted to know is what got you interested in health and well-being?
So that comes from my personal background, my history, and traumas that I've been through myself, and seeing other people who I love going through struggles and just wanting to do something, help out and be of some use to the people who I love and to myself. So that's kind of where it started when I was very young, and then just grew into a purpose and something that I would like to offer to the world.
And it's so interesting that you've chosen to incorporate the dance as a mode of treatment as well. Tell me a little bit about your background in dance and how it evolved into a therapeutic medium.
So I was studying psychology for many years, 10 years, and I just finished my master's qualification in research psychology and struggling to find a job in the field, and became a bit despondent with psychology in my own personal journey, and came across a hypnotherapist, and we started working together, and very quickly my personal struggles were being resolved one by one, and we reached a point where it became about personal development and who I wanted to be in the world and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to offer. And through our discussions, we came up with an idea or a concept to merge my psychological background and my dance background. And I felt like I wanted to help people, but using the body as a support tool and technique is really powerful. And so we found a way through using psychological talk therapy techniques, as well as dance and movement, and then adding in elements of hypnotherapy, which I then studied, adding in all of those elements to come up with a modality or a form of therapeutic dance and movement in order to start my practice and to begin to help others in the way that I felt I needed. And realizing that there isn't one style of therapy that works for everyone. So it brings in a unique offering into the mental health industry and offers a different way to approach our struggles and our challenges and our problems. And I find it to be very powerful for myself, and as I've seen with clients as well.
That's fabulous. So linking to that, what would you say is one of the favorite things that you do in your working day, or what is your favorite part of your working day?
So I would say my favorite part of the working day is being in session with clients. We all have admin and other things we need to do, but actually being with clients and helping them to see different perspectives or to shift things that need to be shifted in their lives in order for them to show up as their true self. That to me is really, it drives me and it motivates me carry on, and it inspires me to see how people are willing to work through their challenges and their struggles, and to find new ways to be in the world that are more functional, more purposeful, and help them to help others as well.
And in your own life, I mean, you've spoken about this journey being very interwoven with your own personal journey. What would you say are your top three health and well-being strategies that you regularly implement in your own life?
So it's very much interwoven with my personal journey. And so I use a lot of the techniques that I would use with a client, I use for myself all the time. I feel like I need to be working on myself and growing within myself in order to help others. It doesn't become a stagnant process. I need to be growing and pushing myself further, so I can help others to do the same. And so I can expect that of others. We can't expect others to want to strive for more if we aren't willing to do that ourselves. So for me, it's firstly, body work is a great way to help myself come back into the present moment. If I am starting to go into worries or stress, or any form of anxiety, it helps me just to come back to now, to here and now. And so that's one of the great ways to come back is through the body, is through body work of some form.
Do you have a particular form of body work that you really love? Like what might we find you doing?
So things like a dance or movement, whether it's in your lounge or something like that, under the current circumstances, that's all we can really do. But dance and movement is a great way to just bring yourself back into a centered, balanced, harmonious place within your body. Breath work is also another great way. And then what I've also been exploring a lot over the last little while is more on the spiritual side of awakening and non-duality. And through those techniques and principles and teachings which I have taken on board myself and using myself to grow, I climb through that way as well.
Okay. And can you maybe give an example of what a practice like that would look like?
So that involves things like meditation. Again, come back to the present moment, which is one of the greatest ways to overcome any challenge. Often our struggles are going into the past or into the future. And if we just focus on what's happening right now, we often find that most of our struggles and challenges disappear. So for me, it's about going into the awakened state of consciousness, which helps me to release the identity to my egoic self and helps me to live from my true self, from my essential nature. And living from that point, I noticed that a lot of the situations or circumstances in my life that I would call problems lose that emotional charge, and they aren't seen as problems anymore. They might be something I need to deal with or do something about, but it takes away that emotional element and that mental dialogue that perpetuates the problem and makes the emotional charge stronger. Yeah. So it's about, again, feeling into the body, feeling the aliveness, the energy in the body, and coming back to the present moment, and then allowing myself to go into the awakened state of consciousness, which is another element to my therapeutic offering that helps me to grow and to live from my true self, and then helps my clients to do the same.
Okay, really nice. So in terms of the current crisis that we're facing, I mean, we've been in lockdown, quite a severe lockdown for a long period, and now things are starting to slowly open up, but the crisis is by no means over. What would your top tip be for people in facing the way forward and trying to maintain their mental health and cope with this trauma that we've all been through in a collective way.
It's definitely a very collective trauma at this point in time, and like you said, it's not going to be going away anytime soon. There will be knock-on effects of the lockdown, even if the lockdown, or when the lockdown is eased. So finding practices that you can use throughout your day, like meditations, like the body work of some form, breath work, is a beautiful way to come back into your body. It just releases you from that struggle, that internal struggle, to have to think about everybody and everything going on all at once. We become overwhelmed thinking about everything that's going on in the world, with not only the virus and the knock-on effect on the economy and on people, but as well as all the racial tension that's coming up. So there are so many different elements to what's going on at the moment that coming back to ourselves and living from our true nature and bringing ourselves into the world is the best way for us to help ourselves and to help people around us. So a top tip, I would say, body work of some form. Always bring yourself back into the body is the first port of call. And then again, support is such a big thing. You know, for myself, I reach out to people who can hold me in that space and contain that space for me, so I can work on myself, and offering that to clients as well. So that to me it's a dual top tip, but support is very important at this time, and having those connections where we can really bring ourselves, and then body work of some form just helps us to release from that stress and tension and that collective trauma that's going on, and helps us to really focus on what needs to happen right now. And that's as much as we can do to get through this moment and then the next and the next. So it's about being here now, being present with the people around you, whether it's a client or a loved one or a friend, over a Zoom call. You know, we have to find different ways to connect at the moment. That connection is still very important. So that would be my way to move forward.
And if I know that you do quite a bit of work with children, but also with adults. If someone is finding that they're struggling a bit with, a previous trauma or with ongoing trauma at this present time, and they'd like to get some help for their child or for themselves, how are you working at the moment? How might they make contact with you to get some input, some guidance, and some therapy from you?
So at the moment, I'm working primarily online through different platforms, either Zoom or Skype, or WhatsApp video call is also very useful for people who don't have a laptop or other means. So even just a cell phone and data is enough to receive support. So online work is my primary focus at the moment, and then individual sessions. So I'm not focusing on group work at this point. But from next year, I will also be offering a course in therapeutics and how to use movement and dance in therapy. And so that's a very exciting new way that I can reach people and help people to help themselves, to help others. But for this year, primarily online. And then as things start to ease up, I will open again to individual personalized in-person sessions.
Do you find working online with people with the body work that they're still able to implement some of the techniques and engage therapeutically with their body via an online platform?
Very much so. They don't need to be in person in order to experience their own body. And so we're very lucky and fortunate to have the platforms that we have now, so that people can continue the therapeutic process in these uncertain times. So it's very useful to be able to work online. And I'm very fortunate and very grateful that my offering is possible online.
Super. Well, thanks, Faine, for joining us and for telling us a bit more about what you do and how you have developed into the therapist that you are today. It's been great to chat. Do you have anything more to add before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much, Cath. It's been an amazing opportunity. And I'm available to anyone who would like to reach out and to start their own process or to work through what they are currently struggling with. But besides that, I just wish everybody well, and I hope that they find what works for them.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.